Was skipping Super Saiyan God the proper course for Vegeta's character? Let's go ahead and talk about that today. Now, that being said, I wanted to talk about this because it's something that just kind of randomly came to mind. I've gushed over the character development that Vegeta has gotten throughout the course of Dragon Ball Super from beginning to where we are now at this point, right before the next multiversal tournament arc starts up. So pretty much I've gushed over his character development from start to finish, and one major factor for that is the way that they handled Super Saiyan God, the initial red transformation. Now, let's go ahead and recap really quick. Now, back in Battle of Gods and the Battle of Gods saga / arc of Dragon Ball Super, basically what happened was, of course, Goku reached the level of God, fought Beerus, ultimately lost, but there are some key differences between the way that it was handled in the movie and in the show. Let me just pinpoint what I think that those are. At this point, if you look at the movie, there wasn't as much onus on Vegeta. There wasn't as much of foreshadowing with Vegeta's character, because throughout the arc, they continually flashed back to Vegeta somehow watching or keeping up with the fight, whether that was just, with the mind's eye, with some sort of sensing or whatever that was. Vegeta was able to keep up with that fight, and they had put a lot of stock into that. Most characters cannot watch this due to various reasons, such as not being able to sense God Ki or having God Ki, whatever the case was. A lot of the characters could not keep up with that, which also instated Whis to have to kind of use his staff to allow them to watch it or keep up to a degree. That being said, Vegeta was able to do so, at least that's how it appears, on his own. Now, I thought that was interesting in and of itself, because that entire sequence of stuff did not happen in the movie, if I recall correctly. Correct me down below if I'm mistaken, but I'm pretty sure that if that did happen in the movie, it didn't happen 5 or 6 times like it did throughout the course of the fighting up until episode 14 or so. So that was interesting. And then towards the end of that, at the end of that fight with Goku and Beerus, Goku's like, hey, we promised that you do this next, and next time it's your turn. And Vegeta, was like, hey, no, thank you. I'm going to actually achieve this level on my own. I don't want that transformation. Obviously, he just saw that the transformation wasn't powerful enough. So in his mind, he was like, I need to achieve something stronger than this. Knowing that this level of power exists, I need to push beyond that. Now, that whole sequence at the end there, where he's basically blatantly denying the Super Saiyan God form, did not happen in the movie. So prior to the show coming out, there was a lot of speculation as to whether or not he achieved it, because we saw Battle of Gods and then Resurrection F. We didn't know what happened. I mean, I guess it was just assumptions that he achieved it and stuff like that, throughout the course of the time frame between those two movies. And then Super kind of shed a little bit of light on that. And I thought that was interesting, going through episodes 14, 15, and 16, looking at his character basically standing on this mountain peak in the rain, trying to figure out how to get stronger, how to achieve this level of power. And then I believe episode 16, I'm not the best, never have been, never will be accused for being the best at remembering episode, titles and numbers and stuff like that. But that being said, around episode 16, when Whis shows up and he's freaking out because Bulma's just kicking him with Whis, basically he humbles himself and he's like, hey, I need you to train me. And Whis says, hey, you've gotten a lot stronger since the last time I saw you. So obviously Vegeta did increase his power level to a degree in between that time period. I don't know how long it was in particular, but obviously he increased his power. Now, this is where I want to talk about whether or not that was a good decision. And this is a total open question. You guys have the floor. Let me know down below in the comment section at any point what your thoughts are on the matter. But I think that Vegeta's character development I don't want to say that it's stagnated. I think that it would have been handled a little bit better if we saw him achieve that level and then push beyond that level to achieve Super Saiyan Blue. When it comes to Super Saiyan Blue / Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan, whatever you prefer, we didn't really see much of it, leading up to the Resurrection F stuff, which was episode, 18-ish in that area, right before Resurrection F started, where Goku and Vegeta were training. We didn't see much of their training to begin with. We saw, the bump fists and the blue aura sparked out. They seemed to be shocked at that. They probably didn't know what it was. It's kind of implied that they achieved the form within that little Whis staff chamber, which we never saw a lot about. It's more or less the show's fault for not really acting on these things that they instate for us as viewers, but it kind of just appeared to be something that he did off screen, because even before that, we flash forward to Vegeta having trained with Beerus and Whis, or Whis in particular, for 6 months, and then Goku shows up midway through what was probably a year period or whatever it was, like, hey, you've gotten stronger, you may be stronger than me. And of course, you know, Goku is able to achieve Super Saiyan God. I don't know if he was taking that into consideration or not, but it's something to think about. So we saw Vegeta go from being stronger than he was initially when he fought Beerus, which was the last time we saw him, and being worthy of being trained under Whis, which is a lot of progression there because it really took him humbling himself. You know, he literally put on an apron, cracking eggs, all that stuff. It's comedy, right? But it is good progression for the character, because if you look back to Dragon Ball Z, that was something he would never do, man. He would never do that. I mean, obviously people are like, oh, Vegeta's not Vegeta. I don't like Vegeta in Dragon Ball Super. They made him a B. They made him all these different things. But you got to look at it from an outside perspective, because so much more is possible with the character the way that he is, with this lighter nature that he has now at this point. So I think that, you know, not really seeing Super Saiyan God did kind of hinder him, because I would have preferred to have seen it, just getting to the crux of the video, just preferred to have seen it and him striving for that and striving past that and ultimately achieving, you know, a level of power beyond that, because there was never really a lot of build up for Vegeta's character. After that, and after his initial showing of Super Saiyan Blue, he just continually progresses and gets stronger. I mean, into, without trying to spoil too much, I'm sorry if I have, but basically I've talked about the movies to this point. You know, getting into the fight with Frieza, obviously he puts the pummel on Frieza. Moving into the Universal Tournament, the Champa arc, he did his job there. I mean, he was meant to be a trope, which isn't really his fault. You know, he went down to hit, fine. On top of that, moving into what happens in the Goku Black stuff, he continually got stronger. You know, we saw what happened with Black and him the first time, and then round 2 is a completely different story. So there's not much to him in that regard. But one thing that I will say that Super has done right, okay, and this is a little bit separate from the topic of the video, as far as his progression goes, as far as the character development goes, I think that one thing they have done right is this man's love for his family, because there are so many moments in that initial arc with Goku Black and stuff like that where you look at him and you're like, man, this guy's totally different. He actually cares about Trunks. Last time Trunks was here, he could care less until Trunks died, and so much went on with this guy. I just feel like he could have had a bigger, you know, character arc as far as Super Saiyan God goes. But let me know down below your comments, your thoughts on the matter. Do you think that Super Saiyan God should have been something that we should have saw? Do you think it would have changed the outlook on Vegeta's character? Do you think it would have added a little bit more emotional weight and depth to the character? Let me know down below. This has been it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Please subscribe to the channel if you happen to be new. I do these every now and then when I just feel like, you know, recording something. So I'll catch you guys later. Peace.